Hey there. I'm going to talk to the professional woman who's become structural support, not by title, but by self assignment. If you are the woman who closes loops no one formally asked you to close, but everyone expects you to do so, this conversation is for you because your autopilot tendencies are quietly eroding your agency. And expectations that are left unexamined become obligations. Hey, friend, I am glad you're here. Come on in for that conversation with Natalie. I'm Natalie, and I coach professional women who want more agency over how they live, lead, or work. Women who want growth, advancement, transformation without overwhelm or losing themselves in the process. Now, I don't know if you're ready for this, but if you are, like most women I have these conversations with, you may experience some aha moments and some ouch moments. Aha moments are when something clicks and you think, oh, that's what this is. That explains the tension. Ouch moments are when you recognize, ouch, I did that to myself. I trained them to expect this. Well, my friend, the good news is that both moments are good for you because both can move you to strategic action. And taking action sets your intention and energy in motion. So I'm not sure if you're ready for this, but if you're open to having some aha moments, good. And some ouch moments, even better. And if you're also open to gaining some tools you can use to set your intention and energy to move more strategically, stay with me. So today, let's have that conversation and let's go deep on what happens when they expect you to carry it, to fill in the gaps. This isn't about doing less or meeting expectations. It's about choosing what you carry. And one of the things I've noticed over my 35 plus years of working, whether it's in banking, compliance, healthcare, higher education, or the legal field, what I've noticed is that high functioning, high performing, highly competent women tend to quietly become the default solution. And here's the fact that doesn't get named or even acknowledged. You didn't apply for the role of carrier. It evolved over time with you volunteering your competence here and there. I'm wondering what would happen if you stopped accepting that carrier role? And I'm right there with you. I had to learn to stop volunteering to being the carrier. I remember the first time that I stopped lending my expertise unless it was actually requested. I stopped volunteering. Before that time, if something needed clarity, I provided it. If something needed tightening, I refined it. I edited it. If something was incomplete, I completed it. No one formally asked or assigned it to me, but everyone had grown used to it. And when I stopped stepping in preemptively, there was a pause, a look of surprise, hesitancy, then concern, as if to say, Natalie, you see this. What are you going to do? It was not spoken, but the energy was loud. Energy that felt like an unspoken expectation. And then finally, when I didn't give in. When the realization settled that Madeline was not inserting herself, there was a reluctant adjustment. Just a quiet recalibration that said, she's not going to handle this. And that's when I began to understand I hadn't been asked, but I had been relied upon, expected to fill in the gap. And that expected reliance, my friend, over time creates a sense of entitlement. Because once reliance becomes entitlement, your generosity becomes obligation. And here's the reality: capability creates predictability. Your predictability creates dependence, and dependence creates expectations. When you consistently fill the gap, the expectation becomes that you will, and the gap becomes yours. And the truth is, if you repeatedly complete the circle, people stop learning how to close it themselves. That becomes your job. Your informal yet obvious role. And it's interesting. There's research going back to 1995 on role entrenchment. And that research found that women become strongly identified with informal roles. And when that happens, those roles like carrier, stabilizer, circle closer, when that happens, the surrounding system resists change, even if growth would benefit everyone. It's invisible labor. And research also shows that women disproportionately carry invisible labor. Smoothing, clarifying, anticipating, closing, often without recognition. And so when you stop stepping in, the system hesitates, maybe even resists a little bit because the pattern shifted. And there are moments that clarify this so beautifully. If you're like me, you've been the carrier, the circle closer, the predictable volunteer. At one time or another, you've done it. And perhaps you're still embracing those roles. As I think back, and I don't have to think back far, and perhaps you will recognize this moment. Zoom in for a minute and visualize this for yourself. See yourself in the room. I was in a meeting where the discussion paused. A call to action was on the table. A space needed to be filled, a need met. And silence. Everyone looked around the table, and I could feel the familiar pull, that internal nudge. Take it on, Madeline. Because I knew exactly what to do and how. And everyone else knew that too. But I also knew something else. I knew that if I stepped in again, the pattern would continue. So I didn't. I let the silence stretch. And it felt longer than it probably was. But then someone else spoke. They stepped up. And you know what? My restraint was an absence. It wasn't avoidance. It was strategic. And it was self-leadership. And if you never step back, no one ever has to step up. If you carry everything, no one else develops capacity. Your aha moment needs to be just that. If I step back and let the system build capacity, there may be some hesitancy, yes. There may be some awkward moments. So what? But the system will find and build other muscles. You see, strategic action is sitting back long enough for the system to build other muscles. So, Natalie, in this context, what's actually required of me? Well, three things. Strategic action requires RCE, resolve, composure, and emotional endurance. Number one, exercise resolve. Decide you will not be automatic structural support. Number two, maintain your composure. Get comfortable with silence. Don't just tolerate it. Learn to embrace it as empowering. Don't rush to fill it in. And number three, practice emotional endurance. You must allow temporary discomfort and resist that internal nudge to jump in without retreating. So the question is not can you take strategic action, but will you exercise self leadership? And so, on that note, I want to leave you with two questions to consider, to reflect on. And these are questions that can really support you in not only gaining clarity, but also in deciding on taking the next right steps for you to move forward differently. Question number one, and ask yourself and be honest. Where have I become the automatic solution? Hmm. The goal here is to get grounded in clarity. Question number two, if I practice the pause, what might strengthen around me and in me? And you know what? I don't know if you're ready for a challenge, but I want to give you one. This week, I want you to choose one moment where you would normally step in immediately and pause. Let the silence sit. Observe what happens. And don't let side eye looks or the energy in the room pull you back into old habits of self assignment. You're not withdrawing, okay? You are just not choosing to carry it anymore. Think of it this way, you're initiating a recalibration of expectations. In fact, you're supporting the system in finding and building other muscles. And that's not just a good thing, that's leadership. So, my friend, that's it for today. If this resonated with you, keep joining me for these conversations. I'm here every day, and I want to support you not only in determining the next right steps for you, but in taking strategic action as well. If you haven't done so, please like and subscribe. Take a peek at my links in the description. And honestly, I hope you'll continue to join me on this journey. And do me a favor, bring a friend along. I appreciate you, and I will see you tomorrow for that conversation with Natalie.